Tell me when we're going.
We're good.
Okay, so here we are, and good evening to everybody. It is the August 1st ZBA meeting, and first order of business is to call the roll. Vice Chair Henry Rua.
Here.
Joe Mayone.
Here.
Tim Scott.
Here.
Randy Ricks.
Here.
Bill Shermer.
Here.
And I am here. Okay, so I'm going to ask Bill Shermer, who is our alternate, to join the meeting for both the Paricio and the Martinez applications when we get to them later in the meeting. Randy has recused himself from the Paricio one, and Joe was absent when those both came before the board to be presented, so he's not voting on these. Okay. Can I ask for a motion and a second to open the continued public hearing on the Paricio application?
I'll make that motion, Patty.
Okay, Tim makes the motion. Can I have a second, please?
I will second.
Who was that?
Bill Sherman.
Okay, good. Now, Kevin, did you receive any letters or emails on this application from the public during the last couple of weeks?
No, I did not.
None, no letters or anything?
Nope.
Okay, is Mr. and Mrs. Paricio on this call? You're not?
John's on.
Okay,
John's on.
I can't hear you.
Hi, John's on.
Okay, so there are no further public comments on this. And no emails or letters were received in either in opposition or in any way about the application. So I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Can I have a second, please?
I second it, Patty.
All right, let's do a roll call vote, please. Henry?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So Mr. Paricio, we'll be getting to your application and the decision later on in the meeting, okay?
Okay.
And if you don't want to, what?
Do I have to stay on or am I good?
No, you don't have to. You don't have to be there.
Yes.
Kevin will contact you tomorrow.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Good
Okay,
night.
the next order of business is Lynn and Morris Amelie. Am I saying that correctly? Mr. and Mrs. Amelie?
Yes, you are saying it correctly.
Okay, thank you. And who is going to be the primary presenter for this application?
Dan McCarthy
Dan?
from Pretorius and Conrad, yes.
Where's the one from out here? Yeah.
Dan, are you going to be the
That's okay.
primary presenter for this
Yes.
application? Okay,
Yes, yes,
floor
I
is
am.
yours.
Can you hear me all right now, or?
yeah, now.
Okay, good, thanks.
We're moving through this thing quickly here, so.
So what is happening is the Almelas have purchased property, and that cottage that's shown on the map has, at this time, presently, about 7 to 9 feet away from the property line in the side yard next to the cottage, which I'll call the east side of the cottage. And then they also own what I refer to in this map as parcel 2, and that's an existing house. And they own also what I refer to as parcel 3, which is to the south of the house and to the east of the house with the cottage, the yard with the cottage, which is parcel 1. So the side yard offset is 25, I'm sorry, right now is about 9 feet in that northeast corner of the cottage.
We're looking at the map. Could you just tell us what you're looking at? Which piece of property are we looking at right now?
We're looking at between parcel 1 and parcel 2. There's a cottage in parcel 1 and a house in parcel 2. And what we have is, what I'm proposing is that I want to put 25 feet for the side yard offset for parcel 2 house in the southeast corner of the house, southwest corner of the house. Sorry. And on the northeast corner of the cottage, we only have 23 feet. So what I'm proposing is and we're here for, is a 2-foot variance to that side yard, since it's supposed to be 25 feet.
Okay. Dan, how much property do you have in parcel 1 and parcel 2?
So in acreage, in parcel 1, the existing is 1.824 acres. And the existing acreage for parcel 2 is 0.335 acres.
So was this a pre-existing parcel before zoning?
Correct.
So that's why it's an undersized lot.
But what we're also proposing is that we're going to take the existing property line between parcel 2 and parcel 3, which now lies to the south of parcel 2, and we're going to delete or remove that property line. And then at the end of that, we're going to have 1.214 acres.
Okay.
So
They'll both be over an acre, which is what that zoning criteria is.
it'll meet the area
Okay.
zoning.
One other question. The owners own both parcels?
They own all 3.
They own all 3. And do
1,
they
2,
live
and
on
3.
one, or are these just parcels they own but they don't live on?
Well, they're up here. They live in the house part-time. They come up here on the weekends, and so do their kids.
Okay.
Parcel 1. As
So
your
you want a lot line revision so that both properties are within the 1 acre zoning in case they ever choose to sell one of them.
Well, that, of course, yes.
Okay. All righty. Anybody from the board have any questions? None?
We have 3 parcels that are going to become 2 parcels if this is passed.
Correct.
Okay.
Is that right, Mr. McCarthy?
That's correct. Yes, it is correct.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any questions from the board? Okay, you can take down that, the drawing, Kevin. We have to set a public hearing. So, would anybody like to make a motion to set a public hearing for, September? Unbelievable.
Mhm.
And well,
September 6th.
I don't think I can make that motion. I'm
No,
not on this one.
not on this one, not on this one.
Sorry.
I'll
Jim?
make a motion, Patty. Randy.
Okay. And who seconds it, please?
I'll second.
Okay, and I'll do a roll call vote. Henry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, so Kevin, you will be in touch with Mr. McCarthy to please extend to Mr. and Mrs. Amley to let them know what the procedure is in terms of getting the certified letters out. They have to go out very quickly so that they don't linger, so that people have opportunity to read them, comment, if they want to send written comments. So we will send you a draft of that letter, and then we'll see you in September, as the song goes.
Right, and Dan, you're familiar with the procedure, right? I send you the Excel sheet of all the addresses within 500 feet and the instructions and all that.
Got you. Yes.
All right, so look for that.
All in September. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you all very much.
Good night, so.
Okay, so now the next order of business is Tarpon Towers 2 LLC, Verizon Wireless. This is a continued public hearing. Can I have a motion, please, to open the continued public hearing?
I'll make a motion. to
Okay,
open the-
thank you, Henry. Can I have a second,
Second.
please?
Second is Joe.
Thank you. All in favor, Henry,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, so the meeting is open. Now, a couple of things we're going to do tonight. First, at the last meeting, the board voted for the neg deck. Excuse me, I'm sorry, not the neg deck. We voted for the part 2 secret. But now the POS deck that we worked on this month has changed a little bit. There have been some revisions.
Actually, Patty, just to clarify, so at the last meeting, you voted to rescind the negative declaration.
Correct.
The notice was sent out to
Yep.
Mr. Olson, and he provided comments, so it was rescinded. And you then directed Granted Lions to do the POS deck, which we have done. It was kind of based off of what had been initially done back in, I believe, March.
Yep.
And then I've incorporated some of those additional comments from the board from the July meeting.
Right. So, but we had originally back then voted for the part 2 secret, but we never rescinded the part 2.
Well, yes,
We're just going to reaffirm that.
Yes, I would suggest that no changes have been made to the EAF Part 2. So I would just go over that quickly, make sure that the board is still on board with the EAF Part 2, and that no changes have been made to that.
That's correct. And everybody pretty much remembers the areas that we had focused on for the EAF Part 2 because they became the central points for the original POS deck. So I'd like to just get a reaffirmation vote from the board. Henry?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. All right, now the next order of business is the POS deck. We posted the draft POS deck after some small but still significant changes were made to it. And we posted it on the ZBA website on Friday so that the members of the public had an opportunity to look at it. We also sent a copy to Mr. Olson so that he had an opportunity to look at it. It's a very long document, so we're not going to read it in its entirety, but I just want to mention a couple of the things that we talked about in there. We emphasized in number 9, the creation of a material conflict with the community's current plans or goals as officially approved and adopted. This is where we talked about the zoning law and the fact that this is an RH district that does not allow or permitting of cell towers. And also it was in conflict with the comprehensive plan. We also talked in number 10 about the impairment of the character and the quality of the important historical, archaeological, architectural, and aesthetic resources, or of existing community or neighborhood character. And that's what we focused on that last one. And in this respect, I want to read to you language that has been added to this. Quote, there may be alternative designs that could help camouflage the proposed facility and mitigate potential visual impact due to the project's scale and proximity to nearby homes, including reducing the tower height or installing other camouflage methods such as housing antennas inside the tower to mitigate potential impacts upon the existing community or neighborhood character. And then the other one that I wanted to highlight for you that's in the POS deck is the creation of a hazard to human health. And this is where we talked a lot about the fall zone and the problems that creates for neighboring homes and roads and driveways. And we also address the break point that the applicant has talked about. And specifically, we say, although the applicant has stated that a breakaway point could be built into the design, no plans, details, or designs have been submitted to this board to indicate how or where such breakaway points would function. All that has been provided is a statement that such a design could be done, but failed to provide the sufficient detail to this board to explain where the breakaway point would be located, how it would function and work, where the tower has the potential to fall with such breakaway point built in, or additional information that the board has raised as to the breakaway point. I would just encourage everybody from the community over there in Mount Marion to read the document on the website and get a sense of what it is that we have put into that draft POS deck. Now, the one thing that we are going to read in the entirety tonight is the resolution to adopt.
Before
Yes.
you move on to the resolution, is there any comments from the board on the pause deck that they've reviewed?
I'm in agreement with what Patty just discussed. This is Joe.
And I know that some emails went out to you later this evening, before this meeting, Kim, indicating thank you for including some of that stuff. So does anybody have any disagreement with anything in the final POS deck, the draft POS deck? Let's put it that way. Does it reflect what we wanted to accomplish in the POS deck?
No.
Yes? Okay. So now we're going to go on to the reading of the resolution for the adoption of a positive declaration in the matter of the application of Tarpon Towers 2, LLC, and Selco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless. And I'm going to have some help in reading this. And Tim is going to start. It's got 29 points to it, so be patient. Tim?
Okay. Whereas 1, Tarpon Towers 2 LLC, Tarpon and Selco Partnership DBA Verizon Wireless propose to install and operate a new commercial telecommunications facility. This facility is proposed to be constructed on land owned by the Mount Marion Fire Department, Inc., MMFD, and located at 766 Kings Highway in the town of Saugerties. For convenience, Tarpon and Verizon Wireless shall be referred to in this resolution collectively as the, quote, applicant. 2. The proposed facility includes the installation of a new 120-foot monopole tower structure and related antenna and equipment necessary to close existing gaps in service in the local area and to relieve substantial capacity issues related to the increased demand and use of Verizon wireless network in the town. 3. The MMFD property is located in the town's residential hamlet zoning district, which Type 5 telecommunications facilities, new commercial telecommunications towers on new sites are not a permitted use. Consequently, the applicant has applied to this board for a use variance and area variances. No decisions have yet been rendered on those variance applications. 4. On June 1st, 2020, the ZBA issued a negative declaration as its determination of significance pursuant to its review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQRA. 5. At that time, the negative declaration was based on the premature assumption that the application would be immune from the town of Saugerties zoning law pursuant to the balancing of interest test established in matter of Monroe v. City of Rochester, herein after referred as Monroe. 6. The Monroe balancing of interest test was designed to apply to situations where the interests of two governmental entities come into conflict regarding compliance with local land use regulation. The purpose of this balancing test is to determine which governmental interest should prevail when there is a conflict between the zoning ordinance of one political unit and the statutory authority of another unit to perform a designated public function. As the proposed MMFD property was owned by a volunteer fire company, the applicant had asked the ZBA to make a determination as to whether the proposed action was immune from compliance with the zoning law pursuant to the balancing of the interest test set forth in Monroe. 7. Part 3 of the Secret Environmental Assessment Form EAF dated June 1st, 2020, which sets forth the board's negative declaration, incorrectly assumed that the current application would be immune from the zoning law based on the balancing of interest test established by Monroe. However, at the time the negative declaration was issued, the ZBA had not yet made its determination pursuant to Monroe. As is stated in Part 3, the ZBA has further determined that the proposed action is immune from the provisions of the Town of Saugerties zoning law based on its evaluation of the balancing of interest test established in the New York State Court of Appeals matter of Monroe v. City of Rochester, 7-2 New York 2nd 338. Number 8. The negative declaration erroneously stated that immunity from the zoning law under Monroe has already been determined, when in fact that determination had not been formally made as of June 1st, 2020, when the negative declaration was issued. 9. This assumption that the application would be immune from the Town of Saugerties zoning law impacted the ZBA's initial rationale regarding potential impacts to the community's current plans or goals. 10. Realizing the error, the ZBA took steps to correct the error. 11. At its October 5th, 2020 meeting, a motion was made to rescind the June 1st, 2020 negative declaration. The motion was seconded, discussed, and adopted. 12. The ZBA adopted its resolution rescinding the negative declaration at an open, regular meeting held on October 5th, 2020. The applicant and its representatives were present at this time. No objection or question was raised during this meeting. 13. On January 7th, 2021, the ZBA concluded its review of the balancing of interest test established in Monroe. The ZBA applied the balancing test from the Monroe case and found that the majority of the Monroe test factors compelled the determination that the proposed action was not immune from the Saugerties zoning law. 14. This decision meant that the proposed action, which proposed a use not allowed in the zoning district when the project is where the project is located, was inconsistent with the zoning law and therefore inconsistent with a community plan. The ZBA's Monroe decision was not a denial of the proposed action. It merely ruled that the proposed action had to comply with the zoning law. Thus, the proposed action would require both use and area variances before a telecommunications facility could be constructed on the MMFD property. 15. In reaction to the ZBA's Monroe decision, the applicant asked the ZBA to table the MMFD application and place it on hold. The applicant stated that it wished to review potential alternative sites in the nearby OLI zoning district. The tabling of the application told the running of the Federal Communications Commission FCC shot clock. 16. On February 16, 2021, the applicant submitted a new application for a proposed wireless communication facility located at 17 Industrial Drive, located within the OLI zoning district. 17. On January 6, 2022, the ZBA concluded its review of the 17 Industrial Drive site application and issued its decision denying area variances requested by the applicant for that site, finding that the proposed tower did not present a minimal intrusion on the community. 18. By letter dated November 22, 2021, the applicant asked to reactivate the MMFD site application. Hence, the ZBA reopened its review upon its completion of the 17 Industrial Drive site application. 19. In continuing the review of the reactivated MMFD application, the ZBA returned to its secret review and proceeded to complete the full EAF Part 2 as part of the process of making a determination of significance for the proposed action.
Thank you, Tim. Henry, will you continue?
I don't have it in front of me, Patty.
I'm sorry?
I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, okay. I'll read it then. On March 7, 2022, the ZBA issued a positive declaration as its secret determination of significance. The ZBA cited inconsistency with community plans, as well as adjoining properties and structures located within the fall zone of the property facility as moderate to large potential adverse environmental impacts, which supported the issuance of a positive declaration. Although more than a year elapsed between the rescission of the June 1st, 2020 negative declaration and the issuance of the positive declaration on March 7th, 2022, the applicant offered no objections or comments to the ZBA on its decision to rescind the negative declaration until the issuance of the positive declaration. The applicant alleged that the negative declaration was improperly rescinded by the ZBA because it failed to provide the applicant with advance notice of ZBA intention to rescind the negative declaration. Although the ZBA believes that the applicant was informed of the rescission of the negative declaration and was provided reasonable opportunity to respond, the ZBA wanted to assure that the applicant was heard and that it felt that he was provided the opportunity to respond. On May 2nd, 2022, the ZBA sought to undo the previous actions it has taken heretofore regarding the secret determination of significance, to provide full opportunity for the applicant to provide comment before the ZBA issued its determination of significance. The ZBA rescinded its October 5, 2020 rescission of the June 1st, 2020 negative declaration, and it also rescinded its positive declaration issued in March 7th, 2022. As a result, the application was procedurally brought the CEQA review back to its beginning and reinstated the negative declaration issued June 1, 2020. On May 9, 2022, a notice of intent to rescind the negative declaration was provided to the applicant, the Town of Saugerties Planning Board, Ulster County Planning Board, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, Ulster County Department of Public Works, and the Town of Saugerties Highway Department. Responses and comments were requested by May 20th. On May 18th, the applicant requested additional time to respond to the ZBA's intention to rescind the negative declaration. On June 22nd, the applicant provided written comments in opposition to the ZBA's intention to rescind the negative declaration. On July 11th, 2022, upon review and discussion of the comment letter received from the applicant, the ZBA made a motion to rescind the June 1st, 2020 negative declaration. The motion was seconded, discussed, and adopted. On August 1st, 2022, the ZBA reviewed and considered the criteria set forth in the Environmental Assessment Form Part 2. Now, therefore, be it resolved, based on all of the findings of facts and conclusions of law described above, and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1. The ZBA hereby determines that there may be significant adverse environmental impacts, particularly with respect to the creation of a hazard to human health, and consistency with the community current plans or goals as officially approved or adopted. The ZBA here, Section 2, the ZBA hereby adopts the EAF Part 3, stating that the proposed action described below may have a significant effect on the environment and a draft environmental impact statement will be required. Section 3, the ZBA hereby issues a positive declaration as its determination of significance. I'm going to make a motion to approve this resolution. May I have a second, and then we'll open it for discussion?
I'll second.
Patty,
Okay.
sorry, Patty. I had provided a later draft from this, which had a few more points, which was just procedural points.
So I'm not reading the complete one?
I'll share with the board what I had proposed in addition to what you had just read. So this is
Okay.
just an addition. So following section 3, says, Section 3, the ZBA hereby issues a positive declaration as its determination of significance. The ZBA hereby directs its consultants to file the positive declaration on the Environmental Notice Bulletin, or ENB. Section 4, having found that the proposed action may have a significant adverse impact on the environment pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617.6, that's the seeker regulations. Coordinated review is hereby initiated with other involved agencies, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, and the Town of Saugerties Planning Board. So what this section is just saying that because if you find that there is a positive declaration, a coordinated review is initiated with the DEC and the Planning Board.
Okay. When you, tomorrow, will you send that to me? Because I don't have that one.
Yeah, I sent it this afternoon, but I will
I
recirculate
probably
it.
didn't see it. Okay. So,
One more. So again, these additions were just procedural directions that I thought were important to include.
okay.
So then Section 5 says the applicant is directed to submit a draft scope pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.8, which again is part of the seeker regulations, addressing the potential significant adverse impacts as identified in EAF Part 3 of the Town of Saugerties ZBA positive declaration. The Town of Saugerties ZBA anticipates continuing its seeker review at the September 6, 2022 meeting. The applicant is therefore requested to provide its draft scope to the ZBA by August 24th, 2022 in order to be on the September 6th ZBA agenda. Just for the board's understanding, so the positive declaration is the document for CEQA that identifies potentially significant adverse impacts. If there are any impacts and a positive declaration is issued, the next step is that the applicant would draft what's called an environmental impact statement, which is what analyzes those impacts and tries to mitigate or reduce those impacts. Between the positive declaration and the environmental impact statement is what's called the scoping session. And what the scoping session is that it's meant to just kind of fine tune what those environmental impacts are, so that when it comes time to do the environmental impact statement, everyone is on the same page. Everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to be looking at for what environmental impacts are supposed to be studied and mitigated or reduced. So the next step is that the applicant is supposed to be, by the SEQA regulations, the applicant drafts a scope document. The involved agency and the public gets a chance to review that draft scope, and then the lead agency then issues a final scope, and then it goes on to the environmental impact statement.
Thank you. So I'm going to amend the motion to include the extra sections that Kim just addressed that I didn't have, and I apologize for that. Henry, would you second that? Would you do your second again?
Yes, I'll second
Okay.
that motion.
Would anybody from the board like to comment on this resolution? Are you okay? So we'll do the. Would anybody from the public like to comment on this resolution before we do our vote?
The public doesn't have to comment. This is a board decision.
It's a board decision. Never mind. All right, I'm going to call a roll call vote on this. Henry?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. The positive declaration is approved unanimously. And as Kim went through what the next steps are, we will await the scoping document from the applicant. And given that the public would be allowed to comment on that, I'm going to make a motion to keep the public hearing, continue the public hearing to the September meeting. Can I have a second for that?
I'll second
Second.
Okay, roll call vote, please. Henry,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Mr. Olson, is there anything that you would like to say before we conclude?
No, you have our objections and we stand by them.
Okay, and you understand everything about the scoping document?
Yeah, I do. I'll have to talk to my clients about that because
Okay,
our first thing we're focused on, as you probably know, is we have to, the court allowed us to amend the time within which to file an amended and supplemented complaint for this specific reason. So we'll be doing that in the next week and we will go from there.
okay. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we will go on to the other board business, which is to discuss the Parisio and the Martinez decisions. Let me just get my notes out here. Okay. Before I ask for a motion on, we'll start with the Parisio application. I will ask the board to please answer each of the following questions for each application. Because these are all things that apply to area variances and we have to discuss them before we take a vote. So the first one is, does the variance introduce an undesirable change in the neighborhood, character, or a detriment to nearby properties? Henry, what do you think?
No, I don't believe it changes the characteristic.
Okay.
No.
Tim,
No, I don't believe so either.
Joe?
I'm not supposed to be on this one, Patty.
Oh, right, forget it. Sorry. Bill?
I do not believe it creates
Nor do I. All right, the second one is, can the benefit be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant? I'll go first on this. I mean, it's a small variance and obviously they need it for their growing family to add this 10-foot addition. So I don't think there's any other means that they could do that other than creating the addition. Henry?
I agree with that.
Bill?
I don't believe that there's another way to accomplish it, and if there is, I'm not sure it would change the application.
Great. Tim?
I don't see any other feasible way now.
All right. Is the variance request substantial? Tim?
From where they are, I mean, it doesn't go too much into, I wouldn't say so based off of what I saw on the property.
Right. I agree. It's a 10-foot variance. So it's really not consequential considering what the property is and what's around there. Henry?
Yeah, I feel the same way about it.
Okay. Bill?
I don't believe so.
Okay. The next question, will the variance have an adverse physical or environmental effect? Henry?
I don't believe it will have any
Bill?
physical or environmental effect. Nothing really changes.
Bill?
No.
Tim?
No.
And I don't think so either. And then the last question is the difficulty self-created? Your thoughts on that, Henry?
Well, I don't know if you call it a difficulty self-created. I don't believe it's a difficulty. It's a matter that it's an expansion. The individual wants to better living quarters for his family. So,
Yeah,
no.
I agree with you. Bill, your thoughts?
I believe it is self-created, but in light of all of the other factors, I don't think that factors into the decision greatly.
All right. And Tim?
I agree with your prior comments.
Okay. So let the record reflect that the board discussed the 5 criteria for area variances. And now, Bill, would you like to make a motion on this application?
I make a motion that we approve the application of John and Liz Parisio at 17 Marys Avenue for a variance of 10 feet from the required 30-foot setback.
Can I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, do a roll call vote. Henry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So Henry, Kevin, you'll inform the Parisios first thing in the morning that the variance passed, and we'll get them the paperwork, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Next application is the Fernando Martinez application at 1 Cedar Lane in Berkeley Heights. In this case, they are asking for a 20 by 16 to build an accessory structure. They are seeking a 10-foot side yard area variance from the 15 required setback and a 27 foot area variance to the required 30-foot rear yard setback. So I'm going to ask the same questions. Can the benefit be achieved by other means feasible to the applicant?
I'll go first. No, I don't see any other way of it being able to be achieved.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because since the town passed a law last November, the property maintenance law, which requires that people who have unregistered boats, cars, trucks on their lawn, they have to move them to another structure. So there really was no other way for this to be feasible for the applicant other than this. Anybody else? Tim, you want to say something?
Just I don't see any other way that it could be done feasibly now.
Okay. Bill?
I agree. Having visited the site, I don't see that there's another way to accomplish this.
Okay. Does the variance introduce an undesirable change in the neighborhood character or a detriment to nearby properties? Henry?
No, if anything, I believe it cleans up the area. I mean, I was up there twice, as a matter of fact, and if he does with everything that is on this application, it should basically clean up the whole area that he's encumbering now.
Randy?
Exactly what Henry said. It's going to make, it's with the fence that's there now and being able to shut it, it's not going to do anything more detrimental to the neighborhood.
And I also think it brings him into compliance with the law, which is an important thing. Tim?
I think Henry said it best.
Okay. So we are all in agreement with that. Is the variant request substantial? Anybody want to take that?
Yes, it is. It is substantial in the big picture, which normally comes in front of us. But to achieve, like as you say, meet the requirements of the new laws. There's a fenced-in area already there. He's staying within this fenced-in area. He's not infringing on anyone else's properties. So I don't see how it's going to be a detriment to anyone.
Randy?
Yeah, it's a substantial variance, but like Henry said, it's well within the fenced-in area. It's not. Everybody keeps saying it's a large structure. It's really not that large of a garage, and it's going to not be that much visible above the garage or to the side, on the side with the trees and the bushes that are there.
Okay. Bill?
I agree that it is certainly substantial, but in looking at the configuration of the lot, I don't see where it becomes that detrimental again in the neighborhood character, and it fits within the current configuration without having a great impact on the boundary lines, I believe.
And Tim?
Yeah, again, it is a substantial request, but it's all being done within that fenced-in area. Nobody's going to see this thing I mean, again, there's no other way that this gets achieved. It puts him in compliance.
Will the variance have any adverse physical or environmental effects?
No.
Randy?
No.
Randy?
No.
Bill?
No.
Henry?
No.
I agree. And then the last item is the difficulty self-created. I'm going to take this one. It is self-created. He didn't have a place to store the things when he purchased these trucks that he's restoring. But I give him credit when he put the request in, that his motivation was to make peace with the neighbors, because people over in that neighborhood in Berkeley Heights had been complaining about people who left their trucks and their cars on their lawn. So he is trying to bring his property into compliance with the law. And I respect that. And I think that even though it is self-created, he is trying to mitigate that by putting the structure, the vehicles into a garage within the fence. Henry?
Can't say it much better than that there, Patty. You hit it all the key points.
Bill?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, I think in most cases, these things are self-created. But in this case, I think it's going to be for the betterment as the
Tim?
final.
Did you just call me on me,
Yes.
Patty? I didn't. Okay. Yes, it is self-created, but as has already been said, he's putting himself into compliance. He's trying to do the right thing here. What more can be done?
Right. All right. So let the record reflect that we have taken into consideration the 5 criteria before we voted. And now, Henry, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we grant the 10-foot side yard, 27-foot variance for this to be achieved. And I believe that the neighbors are going to actually enjoy looking over instead of seeing the vehicles out on the lawns and everything else.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Patty.
Okay, Randy seconds. Do a roll call vote. Henry?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you. Mr. Martinez, your request is authorized by the ZBA. And so just want to remind you that you're not finished yet. You have to get a permit and road cuts. And so you still have some ways to go, but you are finished with the ZBA. And we will get you the paperwork on that.
Thank you so much for.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And thanks to the neighbors who participated. We're glad that you did. Your opinions were always welcomed and educating. So thank you. Okay, so final bit of business is to approve the minutes from July 11th. Can I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of July 11th.
Can I have a second?
I'll second, Patty.
All right. Roll call, Henry,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Randy,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Is there any other business that the board needs to discuss? I just want to let the public know who's still around on the call. As soon as we get that, the part 2 secret, that some amendments were made to that, and I apologize that I didn't have those amendments. We will put them on the website so that you can read them. And we're also going to be sending that to Mr. Olson as well. So I believe our business is concluded unless somebody else has anything to say from the board. Unbelievable. So fast. Okay. I'm not going to forget tonight. I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I will second.
Bill seconds it. Henry?
I agree.
Joe?
Yes.
Randy?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
And Bill, because why not? So thank you, everybody. This is like a record, 7:50 p.m. Unbelievable. We got a lot done tonight. Thanks for everybody's preparation for this meeting and your civility. And we will see you in September. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.